Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Non-profit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. This video was made for entertainment purposes and is transformative in nature. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, to Black World TV, the new black media, black by popular demand. Family, there was a tense Virginia gun rally on Martin Luther King's birthday that drew everyone from the Proud Boys to the Black Panthers. Let's take a look.
Oh my gosh, they have a gun, they're gonna kill you. They're trying to intimidate us. Well, it's absolutely just the opposite. The other people are trying to intimidate gun rights.
This is Molly Hennessy-Fisk. I'm a national correspondent with the Los Angeles Times. We're in Richmond, Virginia. Today is a lobbying day in Virginia, so they came for a rally by a gun rights group, the Virginia Citizens Defense League. They have this rally every year, and last year it drew more than 20,000 people, is what the organizers and some of the participants told me. There are some people who came back this year, but the crowd, as you can see, is much smaller. They are arriving in caravans of cars due to the COVID-19 pandemic.
We had COVID, we had the governor playing games with giving out the permits, and this rolling thing was the perfect solution to it. Lobby Day started back in 2002, and again the idea was it was a holiday, Martin Luther King Day, people had off work, a lot of people, yet the General Assembly was in session, so it was the perfect day to get people that weren't working anyhow down here to have a rally and to lobby to protect their rights.
So there are several different groups who showed up for this gun rights rally here in Richmond. There are the Boogaloo Boys, who said that they support both gun rights and Black Lives Matter. There are the Proud Boys, who the Boogaloo Boys were not getting along with and who they accused of being a white supremacist. Then there was also a gentleman who has a transgender flag and said he supports the LGBTQ community. There also was a group of Black Panthers who came and marched by, and the Boogaloos shouted out their support for them, and the Black Panthers shouted back in agreement. And so some of the groups do get along, and that was evidence as well.
Protest has become all of a sudden a bad word. But it seems that it's like everything else. It's only used bad if you want to use it against the people you oppose. If you believe in your heart that that's wrong, you should have the right to a peaceful protest.
We're not an offensive force, we're a defensive force. If the police make a move against us, we'll defend ourselves. If Proud Boys make a move against us, we'll defend ourselves. Even if Antifa wanted to make a move, we'll defend ourselves. But we'll support everybody's right to be here and speak openly and freely.
The vast majority of the people who own weapons are law-abiding citizens. They don't own the weapon because they are thinking of a revolution.
They want us to have a civil war. They want us fighting each other, but we don't let that happen. Revolutions are generally against the government. Civil wars are people to people, brothers killing brothers. We're not about that.
Well, we're not here like trying to beg for our rights or naturally ours. Right. We're not part of any political group or any kind of movement out there separate from everything else. We're not Trumpers, we're not Antifa, BLM, we're not part of any of that stuff. This is not a protest, this isn't an event, this is just us going for a walk. We do this several times a year.
It's about the people. So we're not affiliated, we aren't affiliated, I said we are independent, we are not affiliated with anybody's political party. Independent straight down the line, whoever is right by the people. And we're willing to have a conversation with anybody. So we're not going to shut that out. So it's very important, and we are asking this. We are asking the different people to reach out to us. We'll reach out to you, but we shouldn't have to always be the one reaching out. Y'all can see who's doing the work. Y'all can see who's been out here. It's clear and obvious.
My main message is that the Second Amendment is the most important right, and it protects all rights in the Bill of Rights, and it must be defended. And I'm here exercising my First Amendment right, which is also under attack, so that we can defend our second. All gun control, essentially an attack on our liberties, and a lot of local gun control has taken place because of House Bill 421 this year, and it essentially ties my hands behind my back and leaves me defenseless. I'm a single female. I travel the country being a nurse, and that hinders that for me, and evil is real, and we need to be able to defend ourselves.
They don't own the weapon because they're going to go down here and rob a convenience store. They don't own the weapon for all of those bad things that certain media, certain political groups put out there to, again, scare and intimidate the average citizen.
Permit holders, they know the permit holders don't commit crimes because the state police keep track of that. They're trackable because they have permits. They don't commit crimes, so why would you bar somebody that's got an excellent track record from being able to protect themselves? Because they don't like gun owners, they don't like guns, and they're in office. They should be protecting my rights, not stripping me of them. That's why this is important.
We need to have dialogue, right?
Absolutely, I'm all about dialogue. I'm all about dialogue.
We don't have to agree.
I'm all about common ground. Yeah, absolutely. And there's always a common ground.
There's
You
always
gotta find
some
it.
kind of common ground.
You know?
What is it?
He said it's a transgender flag.
Oh, all right. Transgender's all right.
Yeah, we don't have a problem.
Are you sure that's not a minor attracted person's flag?
I'm positive.
All right. All right. No, transgender. All right.
Sure looks like one to me.
No.
I hit pedophiles just as much as anyone else.
It's got the white line through it.
right now. That's the trans flag.
Yeah, I know for a fact it's trans flag.
Follow
Yeah,
your own advice.
that's no problem. I mean,
As we've been doing for now for the past year, we've been encouraging black gun ownership, and we would like to take this opportunity to say that we will be collaborating with our brothers here, the Fair Hunting Gun Club, to make sure that we are putting together self-defense plans, making sure our queens are able to protect themselves from these domestic terrorists and things of that nature, making sure our children are even armed as well and being able to defend ourselves just like any other culture. We are in Virginia, which was the birthplace of slavery, which is the birthplace of Confederacy, which is the birthplace of where Christopher Columbus came, which is the birthplace of 1619, where the first Africans were brought to Fort Monroe. And so this is literally where the hate would have to stop. We do feel like if this is where it started, we have to be the ones to literally end it.
Alright, family, welcome Black at Black World TV. Well, you just saw the video of all those Second Amendment gun rights activists speak very highly for our Second Amendment right to carry firearms, and with good reasons. But as we also know, there's always a set of rules for white people, and then there's another set of rules for blacks. That's why we know this whole system is a hypocrisy, filled with hypocrisy. Nonetheless, you heard people, mostly whites, talk about how their precious rights to carry firearms is important for protection. At the same rally, though, police seized firearms from black men at that same gun rights rally. Police stopped a car of black men and confiscated 2 of their guns at Virginia's annual Lobby Day on Monday, while white gun rights activists defied local laws unimpeded in the state capital of Richmond. In a day with racial tensions on display, black protesters denounced what they called a double standard in a state where people are free to openly carry firearms. Virginians converge on the Capitol each lobby day to petition state legislators on issues of public interest, but the day has been dominated by gun rights activists in recent years. It coincides with Martin Luther King Jr. Day, which honors the slain civil rights hero. Well, Reuters witnessed the police stop of the African Americans, which stood in contrast to dozens of white pro-gun activists on foot and in hundreds of trucks that drove through Richmond streets flying guns, saves, lives, flags without police interceding. And again, I'm going to remind you, in the video that you just saw, you could see those trucks and cars driving by exactly as I just said. They were stopped one block, the blacks that is, they were stopped 1 block from Richmond's memorial to Confederate General Robert E. Lee, less than an hour after a white anti-government boogaloo, and I call him boo-boo, leader boasted on a megaphone that his group was violating gun and ammunition laws. They were actually boasting on a megaphone that they were violating gun and ammunition laws. But one of the black men to have handguns confiscated unleashed an expletive-laden complaint, calling it a double standard and an example of why many African Americans resent the police. Quote, "Everybody in the city is carrying today, and you're only pulling us over?" yelled a black woman who was looking on with a group of enraged bystanders. Shout out to Martin Luther King Day. Richmond police did not immediately respond to Reuter's query about the incident and about the protesters' allegation of discrimination. They always do that, as a matter of fact. It's the way that they brush their racism under the rug. But I digress. On Twitter, police said they had issued a summons to one man at the scene for possessing a concealed firearm without a permit and had confiscated the gun. Now, I wonder, how did they find out that he didn't have a permit? Again, because they target black people. This is just obvious, plain, and in your face. But this year's Lobby Day took place in a highly polarized climate, coming shortly after supporters of President Donald Trump seized the U.S. Capitol. You remember that domestic terrorist event? And after a year in which anti-racist and white nationalist demonstrators clashed at demonstrations across the United States. Authorities were on high alert in Richmond, about 110 miles south of Washington, D.C., where Democratic President-elect Joe Biden will be sworn in on Wednesday, tomorrow, actually it's today now, replacing the Republican Trump. Windows at the State House were boarded up. The public entrance was fenced off and police patrolled the grounds. But only dozens of protesters assembled on Monday, compared to last year's crowd of 22,000 as estimated by the police. Similarly, nationwide pro-Trump demonstrators on Sunday largely fizzled after several states deployed the National Guard. About an hour before the black men were pulled over, Boo Boo leader Mike Dunn hoisted a megaphone alongside about 10 members of his Last Sons of Liberty group, all white men. And you did see that in the video as well. Dunn told the assembled reporters and police that his group was openly carrying semi-automatic rifles, quote, in pure defiance, unquote, of local laws, and rocking mags, ammunition magazines, with double the legal limit. So they get to not only just boast about their semi-automatic rifles, which is in pure defiance of the laws, but they also was rocking their ammunition magazines with double the legal limit. And nothing happened to them. Dunn confirmed to Reuters that his group faced no police blowback. You see what I mean, family? City law allows police to ban openly carrying guns at large public events, but they did not intervene against most gun owners on Monday. Quote, Virginia is and remains an open carry state, Richmond police said in a statement. The demonstrators, including Boogaloo Boogaloos supporting their trademark Hawaiian shirts, Proud Boys, and about 20 members of two black self-defense groups were outnumbered by reporters. Despite being united in their support for gun rights, racial tensions were visible. Members of the Black Lives Matter 757 and original Black Panthers of Virginia were talking to reporters near the Richmond State House when a group of Proud Boys walked by flashing the OK, i.e. white supremacist hand gesture, commonly used as a white power sign. So I'm going to end this here, but as you can tell, again, the hypocrisy of this democracy is constantly on display. What we saw that took place at the state capitol, that domestic terrorist act, was another example. And white supremacy looks like it's just going down the toilet. Somebody needs to flush it. But anyways, the black gun owners, as I showed you, unfortunately, and as you see here in this picture, the police have targeted them and only them. And again, I ask the question, how did you know that this gun owner that you claim had no permit, how did you know he didn't have a permit in the first place? Unless you were just targeting African Americans. And again, this is a reason why there's blow-ups and racial tensions all across these divided snakes of America. That's right, these divided states of America. This is what we see all the time. And in my opinion, black Americans, foundational black Americans in particular, we're sick and tired of the hypocrisy. Something needs to change. Shout out to InFact, regardless of how you feel about its leader. This is Black World TV.